Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Average Superstar TV. I'm your host, Lauren Lepre. Please give me that humble privilege and hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And this week, we go back into the independent movie world. My guest this week is an independent film director. He's got he's got his hands in a lot of things. He is the director of Unlisted Owner, 13 Slaves to Christmas. He's also a writer for AMC official channel, like 1031 Part 3. But with that, I welcome Jed Bryan to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. All right, brother. Well, I'm sure you got a nice history here. When did you know you wanted to be in the film business?
I would say after I saw Eli Roth's Hostel. I always loved films, and ever since I was a kid, I'd watch like Vincent Price's House on Haunted Hill, or watch Scooby Doo or King Kong versus Godzilla, stuff like that, and like war movies like Gettysburg and westerns like Tombstone, and but whenever I saw some friends, we had heard all these stories about Hostel. And we rented it and watched it. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like real life horror. Like you go to a different country, you put your trust in the people you don't know. And, the crazy stuff that can happen and come out of that. It just made me realize that you could take real life fears. It doesn't have to be like a monster. It can be reality based. And, so I just started trying to put my own fears into script, like ideas and stuff into script form. And that's kind of how I started.
Yeah, I totally get you with that. As much as Hostel, had a crazy premise. I always had we all have our own fears in life. Wasn't that I thought that would happen, but I always have a phobia of if I'm in another country and I get in trouble, they detain you for a year. Like that's a big fear of mine.
Yeah,
but
it's true. It's a reality. I mean, it's happening right now.
So it's ridiculous. So that before the juice of what Hostel is was scary enough to me. But so that was what about 2007 was Hostel?
Yeah, I think 2000. Yeah, because I think I was a year out of high school.
So how much further did you dive right in, or how did you start? Did you go to school? Did you grab a camera with a few friends and try a few things?
Yeah, I actually originally went to school. I went to ITT Tech, the defunct school for digital entertainment game design. And they showed us a little bit about video editing. And I saw Hostel and I had some ideas in my head. And then I kind of fell in love with that aspect of it instead of actually 3D modeling and, game, coding and stuff like that. So I wrote a script called Meth House and then decided, I'd kind of like to just see if I could actually make something. So I got my friends together and we did a little teaser trailer. So I took a little scene from Meth House and we recorded it and put it out on YouTube, but it never really went anywhere. And then we did a GoDaddy commercial contest to get some more, experience. And we got I think we got 8th out of 539 videos in the community vote, which was insane.
Wow.
So, but then from there, that's whenever we decided, okay, let's try for a feature. And that's when we went into Unlisted Owner.
So, I mean, where you are, is there an actual film, like a film community? Is it only a few handful? Is it very big?
It's pretty small around here. When I started, I didn't know of anybody else anywhere close to me that was doing what I was doing. But since I started, there's been some people that I've met that kind of started a little bit after me or maybe around the same time. But I mean, it's and we all get along great. Actually, one of them is called Moonlight Films. They're based out of Linton, Indiana, and they they just came out with a a film. I think a couple of weeks ago. It's called Grim Reaper 2. I actually star in that one for them.
Good.
So and then when I did 1031 Part 3, they came over and were extras in that one for me. So we all kind of try to help each other if we can.
That's beautiful, but there's really was no like go-to person. So basically, what I'm trying to get at is you had to learn on the fly, and like any questions you have, I guess you talk to online filmmakers from around the country, like, or how did that work?
Well,
or did you just fall on your face like a lot of us do, live and learn?
Yeah, pretty much. We did when we did Unlisted Owner, me and my friend Tyler, we co-wrote it together. And then it's a found footage film. I knew that, something traditional, I didn't have, the resources or to be able to make a crew to be able to, make this thing, especially with little to no money. So I kind of wrote the characters around my friends, like, different characteristics and the way they speak and, kind of applied them to the characters in the story. And after we made it, it was kind of like, okay, well, film festival route. I mean, we saw what Paranormal Activity had done. So we tried to submit to several different festivals and we didn't get into a single one. And I was like, okay, well, there was no like really at that point in time, like 2013, 14, there was no like Facebook community that Facebook was a lot different than it is now, as far as like the groups and, who was on there at that point in time. So it was kind of like, got to try to figure this out on my own. And then we ended up going out to the American Film Market in Santa Monica, and we showed it twice out there, which that was an expensive trip, but I was able to get a distribution deal. And then that kind of just opened up a lot of doors after that.
Remember when I got a comment you said you submitted that to film festivals and didn't get in the one. I just give you kudos for that, because there's so many filmmakers like, my film's doing great. Oh, it's awesome. Everybody loves it. It's got a big fan base in Africa. But like no one ever likes to admit like the road wasn't, paved perfectly. I hate that, So, but that's great. I asked about the American Film Market. I mean, did you feel the sharks there as well?
It was kind of intimidating, because I'm just from a small town in southeastern Illinois, and I made this film with my friends. We showed it twice. We did like a little showing here locally. We had 220 people come, and we gave them surveys, and they told us, what they thought of it. They didn't put their names on it or anything. Yeah. So, and it was, relatively good.
It was technically a test screening.
Yeah. Focus group. Yeah, we called it a focus group showing, and then we showed it at a movie theater in Evansville, and we actually had, which Evansville is about an hour and a half from where I'm located. So, it wasn't like a bunch of local people coming, and we actually had 99 people that bought tickets to come see it, which was amazing. And so, with the confidence with that, just because, some people who ran film festivals were not a fan of it, or they, had, there's only so much time in a festival. They didn't have enough time to put us in. So I decided after I found out about the American Film Market, just to jump in. And it was intimidating. I mean, they give you a list of all these different buyers, and, I spent weeks or actually months prepping beforehand, going to all these different distributors' websites and saying, hi, I'm writer director Jed Bryan. I'm a film Unlisted Owner. I see that you have found footage films in your, catalog. Mine is also found, just trying to get these meetings set up, and a lot of them, you never hear back. But I mean, you have really small distributors there, and then you have the big dogs like Jerry Bruckheimer Films is there, Lionsgate's there, Lakeshore. I mean, all these bigger distributors are there looking for content as well. So it was kind of cool. And we did a mini booth. So basically, they take the Lowe's Hotel in Santa Monica. They take all the beds, all the furniture out of all the rooms, and they split the room in half. So actually, I had another half of a room with another filmmaker. But a lot of people there had multiple films. And I was like there with just one film. I'm just trying to get someone to pick up. But I mean, there was a lot of like, high pressure situations to where, I had one guy that was wanting me to sign a deal right then and there.
Yep.
But he didn't even want to see the trailer, hadn't seen the movie, and he wanted me to sign right.
And they were jump in for any filmmakers listening. You know where I'm going. they wanted content more than
Yeah.
what was your,
Yeah.
what you were selling.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been, like he wanted me to sign the deal. I mean, this thing, it could have been X-rated.
Yeah.
He didn't care. He was just let's sign
That's
now.
the big thing that's been going on for a good 10 years is like you get all these distribution companies that are trying to get streaming platforms on Comcast and everywhere. And it's like when they go to show their package, they got to show we've got a catalog of 1,000 films right here.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, look. So they don't look out for the filmmaker's best interest.
No.
And we're the ones that lose. The only glory we have is this maybe like, hey, look, it's Tubi, it's Sumo, and wherever you land, but they're not customer friendly. Sometimes like I see my movie both of them pop up on platforms that I never even heard of. And that's good. I'm not complaining. You want your movie, but I just wish an email or a phone call, so I could tell other people.
Yeah.
The communication between all that is it's horrible. It's like you got to go hunt your own movie.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, I've Google searched unlisted owner so many times. I mean, it just make your head spin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, one thing after another. But yeah, whenever you have a distributor like that, it's like, you're trying to guess where it's going to go. And then you have people asking you all the time and you're like, I don't know. And it's just, it makes it really hard.
It's weird because they dangled the steak in front of your face. Like, oh my God, I came here for this and I could get picked up. But, I've said several times on my show here, and as any time I've been a guest on other people's shows, my advice, and probably you share the same, is when you have a film and you're going to try to get it to a distribution company, is to contact filmmakers that are signed to that distribution company and say, hi, I'm such and such. I'm just curious for your honest feedback. Could you tell me how this distribution company has treated you?
Yeah,
and I always say like a good 5 to 10. Always do your diligence. I mean, this is your child.
Yeah,
that's what a film is. It's a child. You don't want to just give it away to give it away.
Right, and then also, you at the same time, is a filmmaker who has been, contacted by somebody, you have to be very careful what you say, because sometimes in your contracts there's, non-disclosure agreements, what you can and can't say. So, a simple, I haven't seen a dime. That's just, easiest thing to say is like, well, I haven't seen a dime. That's all I'm saying about it. I haven't gotten any money. So, and it's sad that happens more often than not.
They prey on people like you and I that that are still working real world jobs, and you're trying to make your real dream come to life after work. They know people like us can't lawyer up and defeat them. So they basically say, come at us, and they'll bleed you out. They'll bleed people like us out of money. So it's the dark side of the film business. But then you have to put that question to yourself of is what's more important, like my art and creating it, or, the dread of losing it.
Right. Yeah. It's I've heard some horror stories, about people signing distribution deals. There was these one filmmakers that were at the American Film Market, and they had a documentary, and they had signed before they went to AFM, and like the Hollywood Reporter had interviewed them and like all this stuff. And I mean, there were reviews out, and they'd been to festivals and everything. And to this date, their film still has not been released.
Mm-hmm.
And I went in 2016.
That's wow. 6 years, 6 years of acid in your mouth, man. God bless that, whoever that is.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's a ride, and I'm here in Philadelphia, so at least where I started, I didn't realize wasn't the right place to be. You're kind of hanging with a million people that do short films and king for a week or two, and then we all flock to the next film, and you're not realizing no one's using lighting or audio for a while until someone calls it out that it's from a bigger shark place like New York. And I was always good at, it's okay, you could tell me anything. I'm not going to tell you I completely agree, but you're not going to hurt my feelings. I prefer to hear honesty. And my network, little by little, starts spreading around the country and then around the world. So it's like you just said, 2013. You know, you're new. You're in the middle of the country, as you stated earlier. You didn't have a lot of filmmakers to even kind of use as a help desk.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just started off listening to the other people like, well, they seem excited. It must be going somewhere. And before you know it, these films never leave. Yeah. And then I call it the question and I'm the bad guy. But, you know, you gotta find your footing. You could, any idea you have and you see someone else do it, I will hit them up direct like that. I loved what you did. I'm kind of looking to, you know, add that effect that you did. Can I talk to you, you know, some night on chat, like, and just, you know, explain how you did it. It's a different world and even in editing, you could YouTube like all your questions and stuff. Like the world's a lot better now for a filmmaker. It really is.
Oh yeah. I mean, and there's been some, you know, and it's pretty awesome to see how there's been new distribution companies come out of this that are ran by filmmakers who were, you know, went down the rocky road that so many of us have went down and said, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a way to where, you know, these people who are putting all this time and effort into their films can get some cut of their, you know, some profit back to be able to put into the next project. Because, you know, I'm pretty sure any other indie filmmaker that's, you know, and you know, on our level, they're not looking at it as, you know, when their film gets out there, they want to make all this money and be rich and retire. They just want to take the money they got and put it into the next project and make something even bigger and better. Because all of us have these bigger ideas and these bigger plans that we want to do, but the funding's just not there. And that's all that, you know, most of us want is just to be able to get money back, to be able to buy new equipment, to be able to get new locations, to be able to get some, you know, people with some star power in their next project.
And just honesty too, you know, like even if you don't make it all back, at least you're getting something, and you know you're in good hands. You know, that's a whole other thing when you hand that film off to the next person. But yeah, I mean, so I mean, I've seen you've done conventions before.
Oh yeah. I've done Days of the Dead. I actually I went up just for one day, but I did Flashback Weekend in Chicago. I'm also actually going to be doing, I'm going to be a guest at Bride of FrankenCon in Knoxville, Tennessee next year. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That's
I just
great.
announced it tonight. So
you between everything you did, you moved up to that level. And that's good.
Yeah. I mean, for like Days of the Dead and stuff, you know, I have I usually, get a vendor table and, have copies of Unlisted Owner that I sell because I have the physical rights to it. So I'm able to do that. And, we even got VHS now, which is pretty awesome, to have a VHS.
But that's great. So I at times I've done the same thing as you when I would push my dark military film in Pennsylvania hardcore. But I mean, how are the fans response? It's weird with cons because sometimes like everybody knows you, and other times it's like it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
That like you swallow it. Damn, like this one wasn't the best, but it's when you do cons, my eyes, like you're doing business, but you also have to separate yourself of this is what I loved when I was growing up, and like you're still kind of there as a fan, and I think if you lose that, what's the point of it?
Right. Yeah, it's pretty, it's such a cool feeling. I was at Days of the Dead in Indy, and I think it was 2020 whenever COVID was going on. And one of the volunteers there came up to my table, and she had bought my movie the day before and stuff and had me sign it. And she brought her lanyard to me, and she says, "Will you sign my lanyard?" And I looked at it, and it had Rico Browning, who was the original Creature from the Black Lagoon, had signed it. David Naughton from American Werewolf in London, Tony Moran, all these guys had signed this lanyard, and I was getting ready to. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I need to take a picture after I sign this. I want to take a picture of this because this is just such a cool moment, Because I mean, deep down, all of us indie filmmakers are fans of film, fans of actors and directors. It's just it's just surreal to see, your name right there beside these other people, and a stranger that you have no idea who they are is asking for you to sign something. It was just such a cool feeling.
It is amazing feeling. It's also amazing feeling like no one in particular, but like any of the cast members of like Halloween or Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, like you might have their number now on your cell phone, and like they might be talking to you like, do you have any films coming on? You're like, me? Like, yeah, I'm hoping I can do something with you somewhere else. But yeah. So it's an awesome feeling / like makes you also feel like, wow, did I arrive? You have that too, and it's awesome. I think the convention for horror movies, particular. I mean, if you're not going to the conventions, to me, it's literally impossible to get anywhere. Yeah. Like unless you just hit one of the best home runs of who the hell did this person come out. It's the best. It's fun. The bar life after of like me getting to actually get a chance to hang out with some people, go out to dinner and all that stuff. I mean, it's the bet. You can't go to a networking event and get something that intimate. You just can't.
No, it's always a blast. I mean, every convention I go to, no matter how big or how small, I always end up making new friends or meeting, new people or learning something that I didn't know before. And it's just, it's such a cool experience, and then, to be on a con panel, it's just really, surreal. I mean, because, I've, YouTube, I don't even know how, like, Comic-Con, all these people up there that are, like, the Rick and Morty and all that stuff. And then you're turn around, then you're there and people are asking you questions about indie filmmaking and, how you were able to do what you did.
Yeah. It's a beautiful world, and you're giving back to the fans because you could see yourself in them. You could be talking at a Q&A to the next biggest filmmaker, and they could be asking you the questions. I mean, it's amazing. I also love, like you said, Days of the Dead. I just did a Texas Frightmares when I was down there a couple months ago. But, I mean, they had some excellent amount of films, of indie films. And, like, I'm, like, running around. I can't wait for the Q&A. Like, I'm looking at the screen, and then I'm like, that was so good. I bet them actors are – like, I want to talk to them now. Like, I just think it's so cool to support each other. And I think for a guy who I've ran – 26 film events in Philadelphia. It's kind of like unofficially done right now, but Freedom Shorts and Liberty Massacre. And I understand what it's like. You want to let them know they did a good job. It's very, no one wants, because I've been on both sides where everybody runs up to you and says the greatest things. I've also done where like, it's just, and then they walk out and you're just like, yeah, I'm not going to make it, am I? You kind of have that like reality check,
Yeah.
So, that doesn't mean your film was bad. Just maybe the crowd wasn't enthused, right. The whole day. Who knows? But
yeah, I saw an interview that the guy who directed Super Troopers. Gosh, I can't think of his name. The guy that played Ramathorn. He did an interview where he was talking about how they had a film that they made and it went to Sundance and stuff, and Harvey Weinstein was supposed to pick it up or was interested in it. And they did some showings. And when Harvey showed up, they said the whole audience changed because they were film students. The audience was. And when he showed up, they changed. And then they started critiquing the film and they acted different. And that's why he did not pick it up. And then whenever they were trying to get Super Troopers made, they couldn't get anybody to pick it up, the script, to get it made. And he had some friend whose dad had retired from the baking industry, and he wrote a script, and he wanted to know, since they'd actually made a film, wanted to see what he had thought of the script. He said, oh, by the way, send me something that you've written. So he sent him Super Troopers, and he said, this thing's pretty good. What are you guys doing with it? And he goes, oh, nothing really. No one's optioned it. And he goes, well, you think you could do it for $1 million? That's how it. Wow. It just something just like that, just because of somebody that he knew. It's just, you never know. Sometimes opportunities just fall on your lap after years of trying.
Yeah, it's unfortunate what he said about when he showed up, like all the film students turned into gods, and
Yeah.
technically set this film director back. That
Yeah.
this may, he may never have succeeded. He may have
Yeah.
had to fade out of it. Like that. Yeah, I tried not to. When you watch something, you're just like, but like if they're your friend or something, if they really need to hear it and they're asking, I will let them know in the most nicest way I could. But
Yeah.
you don't slander. So like when not during an opportunity.
Yeah.
If
Well,
anything, I would cheer the film, even though I didn't like it.
right, and that's the thing. I think there's a lot of people out there that whenever they watch indie films, especially, they're thinking they're going to be watching, a Leonardo DiCaprio film or Tom Hardy film, and they don't think like, okay, this is something that is low budget, independent,
Yeah,
and to me, it's like, yeah, I mean, I've watched movies that to me, I'm like, it's not my cup of tea, but at the end of the day, you still got to give the person credit because it takes so much to be able to make especially a feature length film. I mean, short film's hard, but I mean, especially a feature length. I mean, all the work that goes into that through the planning and preparation, continuity and all that stuff. Even if maybe the story's not the greatest, I mean, if they hit on, if they're able to make a completed film, I mean, that's, bravo. I mean,
that's the full point for me right there. No matter
yeah,
how bad it is after that,
yeah,
that it was done.
yeah,
Because you and I know how many people start films and they never come to life.
yeah.
You know.
It's true. It's very true.
Yeah, but it's weird, and like you said, you have to also, I don't say coddle that what you just said about like the reviewer and stuff, like when they say indie, because I mean, my Dark Military film, we really lit the woods up. Like we had skylifts shining down. I mean, the lighting was amazing, and I got that movie cost money. It should have cost way more, but I called in a lot of favors. But I mean, I literally had some people like, I like the film. I just would have liked to have seen maybe more of the woods on fire and explosions. And I'm just like, dude, like you're I'm sitting there all day. I'm so happy I'm getting it done, but I'm literally counting money in my head. Like, all right, 4 more days. Here's the budget, and you want me to blow the woods up? No, you just don't get it. You don't get it. I think they think a lot of these people think indie. They still think it's like a $2 million film.
Yeah.
Like instead of a 200 million, it's 2 million. Like no, it's not 2 million.
Yeah. Gosh, if someone gave me $1 million, I could do so much cool stuff. That's the thing. It's like
that's to me. That's a dozen films easy. If I want to keep stretching it even more into that, like you could you could reality if you. It sounds like you did this with the Unlisted Owner when you said you were writing around your friends' personalities and stuff. I wrote the Dark Military around the network I had, meaning I knew someone would have this amazing set of woods that was private. And, I just knew offices that I could use. I wasn't going to be like, I need to go into Philadelphia or New York where I had to get all these permits. And no, I wrote what I knew I could get.
Yeah.
Scale value.
What's plausible. And, I think there's a lot of indie filmmakers that run into that problem when they're writing a script. I mean, not necessarily, hold back like what you're feeling, but try to I always try to write my scripts around what I know that I can make with what resources, because, like an Unlisted Owner, you saw the fire trucks, you saw the ambulance, you saw the guy in the body bag, and I'm a volunteer firefighter. So I had access to, the fire. And I'm actually Tyler, who's in the film, was actually a police officer at the time. So, so that's how we're able to.
I was going to bring that up because when like the beginning of the movie, when, the murders already happened, and I saw like people coming out in the stretcher, I'm like, yo, he's not like this looks this to me. You captured what I thought I would see in the 80s watching with my parents, like a body, getting out comes up, the fireman followed by. I'm just like, look at this. So
yeah, they're all real first responders that were, in that. I mean, we've actually, we've had to do, situations like that to where, you had to carry a body or, stuff like that. So it's not like it's, actors you're just putting in a cop uniform or a fire, putting in fire gear. So, I mean, they were all, real first responders. So it was all, natural to them.
That's great. So tell me, like, so give the viewers. I know we talked earlier, but the viewers didn't hear that. So give me how that even came together on Unlisted Owner.
So basically we did the GoDaddy commercial contest, and we did Meth House, and then I'm like, I want to make a feature film. And my friend Tyler had just moved back to the area. My friend Gavin had moved back to the area, and I'm like, okay, now is the perfect time to try to make a movie. So I'd never seen Blair Witch. I'd never seen Paranormal Activity. And so I started researching found footage films. I'd never seen VHS. So I started watching these found footage films, and then I came up with an idea for the found footage slasher. And then me and Tyler knocked out the script, and then just cast the rest with friends. The only girl who I didn't know before we started filming was Heidi. And that was actually Andrea's friend. And she fit right in with us. It was great. So, and then we did a shooting schedule, and we just, rolled the dice.
These were all the jump in for a second. These were all people you personally knew. Like, so you basically did what I did. You drafted, like, you didn't even have you just like, I know who I want.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Because Facebook, I mean, we started filming Unlisted Owner in 2011. So, I mean, you're talking, very, very early stages of Facebook, basically just kids on there. You just posted, you're just talking to your friends pretty much. So it's, so it's like, as far as trying to put out a casting call, I didn't even know exactly how to go about that. I put it in the newspaper, put it on the radio. So I just, I knew what I wanted, and I knew who I had. Like I said, I was just having trouble casting Griffin's girlfriend as character. And then Andrea's like, well, I met Andrea was at a football game, and Heidi was there. And I'm like, hey, do you want to try it? Just come and do like an audition. So, and basically the audition wasn't to see like how great her acting was. It was just to see, can I get her to show up?
Yeah.
Because that's, I mean, it doesn't matter how great of an actor someone is. If they don't show up, that's, you're not going to have a movie. So,
and especially where you're at, because you're probably you're limited on everything, crew and actors. And like, I've been where I'm at, dude. There's hundreds, and I've heard nightmare stories out of people. And I've been on so many movie sets where, like, I see the actor for who they are, and I think, like, they could act, but they're toxic. Like, I will never bring them into my movie set. Like, I want harmony. I want people that are good, get it. And, you make your movie, and then they contact it. Why didn't you bring me in? Be like, hey, remember that movie set we were on together when you showed up drunk? And you thought it was cute. It's not cute.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but it was, I look back on Unlisted Owner. I mean, we had so much fun, making it. I mean, it wasn't like, we had a I had a shooting schedule and what scenes we were going to shoot and stuff. And, everybody, learned their lines. I let them, there was some ad-libbing here and there, but for the most part, I mean, the script, they followed it. And, for being their first time acting in something like that, I mean, I couldn't be prouder of what my friends were able to accomplish.
So these people were some acting experience or not?
None. Gavin had acted in the Meth House thing I shot, and then in the GoDaddy commercial contest. And I think Tyler might have done like stage acting one time, but other than that, no one had any.
I kind of felt that, honestly. I was like, they're either like that good at actors, but like I could feel the natural, like, especially the way the guys talk to each other, kind of jockey and no talk, if you want to say. But to me, it felt like a group of friends that talk to each. That's just how they talk to each other.
Yeah. It's it was kind of written as a like a reality train wreck, because reality shows were really popular whenever we were doing this. Jersey Shore and all that. So we basically, I wrote it to where you had these four friends, and two of them have girlfriends now that are starting to kind of hold them back a little bit. They're not being able to go out as much. And then the other two guys are basically trying to everything they can to ruin those relationships so it can go back to the way it was. So you have one group that's trying to go forward, and the other group that's wanting to stay in the past. And Peter Pan attitude of I don't want to grow up, never, never.
Yeah.
So
I thought, dude, that was cool. And there's the market's definitely saturated with like the found footage and all that, but like you were there way back in the day. And you know what? Regardless of saturated, I mean, there's a following for all that. People love found footage.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, we're finally approaching the end of The Walking Dead, and I still know a million people that aren't sick of zombies. I'm like, okay, but so horror fans are horror fans. They can't get enough.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, because whenever I was going to do Unlisted Owner, I had people tell me, it's like, oh, you need to see Paranormal Activity, you need to see Blair Witch. And I mean, they were on my watch list, but I never actually watched them. I'm a huge classic film buff. Like I love Universal Monsters. I love, like Bogart, Peter Lorre, all those guys like that. I love classic film. And, found footage, like I just never, I never really gave it a chance until, I'm like, okay, I need to see if I can make a feature film and use the resources I have available. And I know I could probably do something that's handheld. So that's why I jumped in, and I'm like, okay, I think I love slashers. So, and I didn't really know of any found footage slashers. So I wanted to make a found footage slasher film about a group of friends that's kind of in a toxic friendship, and they stumble upon the incidents that happened the night before. And that's when all the fun happens,
Coolness. So I think you got a good gig here. You also write for ACM.
Yeah.
How does this even happen?
Well, it kind of goes back to what we kind of talked about at the beginning. Alex Magana is the owner of ACM Official, and he used to do music videos a lot. Like he did some, like a lot of Chicano rap, like Mr. Capone and people like that. And he had done, I think he did 2 features. I think, yeah, he had done 2 features at the time, and he was looking for a distributor for his second feature. I think it's called 29 to Life. And he hit me up on Facebook and wanted to know about my distributor. And I just, just told him, haven't seen any money. That's, basically it. And he told me he had some ideas for some projects, like he was wanting to do like a horror anthology. So he had multiple people write scripts, and apparently mine was one that actually stood out, and the rest of them weren't that, impressive. But needless to say, he never did that anthology. But then he ended up doing a contest, and it was basically to try to win, I think, some gear or something. So he wrote this script called Smiling Woman. He sent it to me. I gave him some suggestions on of different things with the Smiling Woman that he put into the script. And next thing you know, the video goes viral. So I think right now it has like 8.4 million views, which is insane.
That channel on YouTube for people to watch, I mean, it's hot. Man, I can't even keep up because there's just so many being pelted out,
Yeah, he does a short a week, which there was a couple weeks back where he took a little bit of a break. He's working on some other stuff that he hasn't announced yet, but yeah, for the most part, I mean, 1 short film a week, and I co-write on a lot of them. Every week, me and him, like almost every day, me and him talk. We became good friends over the last few years. And, even if I don't write on something, he'll ask me, or I'll give him suggestions and stuff. And, it's just so cool because like, we'll just be, just talking about different stuff. And then the next thing you know, like one of us will have an idea and, just, write it out. And then bam, that week he films it. Next week it's out, and the world sees it. And
I dig it. I dig it a lot. So, what do you? What's next? What's next on your plate?
Well, there's a lot going on.
Good for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's been the last few years since Unlisted Owner came out. I mean, it kind of. We did the conventions a little bit after the release and stuff. And then I did 13 Slaves Till Xmas, which is a Christmas horror anthology. And then that kind of opened up some more doors because that was the actual first time I actually had filmed something in a traditional setting. with me making Unlisted Owner, kind of got my foot in the door, and people, I started kind of talking to different people and making connections. So I was able to start building a crew, and now I have a very good group of people that I really love to work with and bring in. But we filmed that fake trailer for Radio Tower Road, which is a script I have for Rocky Gray's 1031 Part 3. It's supposed to be out this year. So that's supposed to be coming out maybe October. I'm not exactly sure, but sometime this year it's going to be out.
Sure hope with the title like that, and it's Halloween time. Yeah, it's good time to drop it.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And then we got, I think it's, what is it called? I think it's called Flesh Eaters. That was a film that I starred in a couple of years ago. Hopefully that'll be out pretty soon. And then there's a movie I filmed. I acted in, let's see, I think it's 2017. Stars Malcolm McDowell, and I think Gary Busey's in it. I'm not sure, which, right now there's some controversy with him.
I was there for that, for the record. Maybe not exactly that, but I was at that convention.
Oh, man. But yeah, but that's I'm pretty excited because I'm a big Malcolm McDowell fan, and it's just kind of cool to be in a film. I mean, his voice is in the movie, but for the character he voices is in the scene with me. So it's just kind of a neat thing. But hopefully that'll be coming out in the next year or so. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. And then there's a film producer in Northern Illinois that made the film High on the Hog. His name's Kevin Lockhart. We've been in talks about working on a project together.
High on the Hog, yeah.
That has Sid Haig in it.
Yes, and that also had Tony Wash was attached to that film.
Yeah, and Joe
was a guest on this show. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. So we've been in talks about doing something. So I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, and then me and Alex, we've talked about maybe doing a feature at some point. We got a script that we knocked out a few years back, and would really love to be able to make it. So, but like I said, the YouTube channel, it's just every week we're working on ideas or a script, or he lives out in LA, so he's got a big pool of actors to be able to pull from. And I mean, as far as crew goes, I mean, he does a lot of it all himself. It's just I'm so amazed at what he's able to accomplish. I mean, shooting it and then editing it, and then even putting the score in and stuff, and then getting it out all every week. It's just
that's a bulldozer. That's good.
Yeah. And then YouTube kind of paints you in a box, which for me, it's kind of weird because for me, I'm more creative. Like the smaller a box you put me in, the more creative I get as far as like YouTube, you can't show gore. You can't, swear because, as far as monetization goes, they'll demonetize you. They'll ding you for stuff.
It's weird because they won't show like a machete hit a body, but when it's done, they have no problem if you show the body all mangled on the ground. It's like weird how they do it,
Yeah. But and like I said, and YouTube will, like flag stuff that there's nothing, even that you would see was even remotely should be flagged for an older audience. So like with the stuff we have to do, we have to be very, very mindful of that. And it's kind of crazy because when I first started helping him, I think his channel had like 10,000 subscribers, and it was, a lot of music videos and stuff. And now it's grown from 10,000 to, I think it's like 140,000 subscribers. It's just, every day we just keep getting more, or he keeps getting more and more subscribers, and it's just, growing, and just really, it's kind of cool to be a part of something like that.
Absolutely. Well, getting ready to wrap this up here. What would you say as a filmmaker? What advice could you give to anybody getting in this business?
Go out and make your film. Go out and do it. If you don't do it, you'll always wonder what if. So if you have an idea, and right now with the internet, there's so many resources of how to make a film. Just Google, how do I make a film? How do I write a script? I mean, there's tutorials on Final Draft. I mean, there's tutorials on how to do a shot list. I mean, nowadays you don't have to go to film school to learn how to make a movie.
Nope.
And I mean, with the technology now, it's just, and watch movies and learn. Learn from mistakes that you see. Learn from things you like. I mean, it's just go out and do it.
And I always advise who your team is, especially if you're on the newer side. If your crew is also filmmakers, that's a good help desk for advice. Don't walk around the director with an iron fist and what I like.
Yeah.
Take a minute, maybe ask, be like, here's what I'm trying to do here. What do you think? It's okay.
Yeah. Or if somebody has a suggestion and it's not in your original plan, go ahead. If you have the time, go ahead and shoot it that way. Or even if your actor says, well, what if I do it this way? And, sometimes it's just easier just to say, even if it's not going to probably work, just go ahead and just film it that way. And, it prevents an argument, prevents, hostilities on set because the actors feel like that you're listening to them. And,
it keeps their spirits up. And sometimes it happened on my Dark Military film. I had a couple people ask if they could do something. And unless it was just something that was going to be so time consuming, I said, yeah. And I used like 50% of it. And the other half, I'm just like, I guess, this they didn't see what the vision of the scene was. Like this does not complement or match anything. But yeah.
Yeah, because like now you're not actually shooting stuff on film, so the cost variable is gone. So it's very easy. Just if someone's like, "Hey, what happens if I pick up this cup?" And okay, we'll go ahead and shoot that way.
Let's find out which.
So be open to suggestions. Like, I mean, I know as a director and a writer, you have a vision in your head, but making a movie is a team effort. And, it's not just you by yourself with a camera and acting in front of it. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts to it. So be respectful of people's opinions and suggestions and, just, try to, if it's something that you're not sure it'll work, if you have time or able to do it, just do it. And, it helps it, and, make your actor happy and it'll help the overall performance.
Sweet. Well, Jeb Bryan, thank you so much for being a guest of Average Superstar TV. Is there any website or any plugs you want to throw in there?
Well, if you want to check out Unlisted Owner, you can check it out on Amazon. You can also check it out. I think it's on Plex for free if you want to check it out that way.
That's where I watched it. Yes, it was on Plex.
Yeah, on Plex. And then if you want to get it on Blu-ray and DVD, we're actually getting ready to come out with the director's cut, hopefully in the next few months. So if you can do it that way. Or if you want a VHS copy, you can hit me up directly on Instagram. It's at Mr. Jed, Jed _Brian, Brian. Or you can hit up Unlisted Owner on the Unlisted Owner Facebook page. You just type in Unlisted Owner on Facebook, it'll come up, or on Twitter. So
beautiful. And with that, I will say thank you for being on the show. I will say thank you to this audience for taking the time to listen to this. We dropped a new show every Monday morning at 5 a.m. And with that, I will say, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. And with that, I will say until next week, the party's over.